Many of you will, no doubt, remember Lindsay Shepherd. She was the teaching assistant in the Department of Communications at Wilfrid Laurier University, who was subjected to a 3-member panel of inquiry after she showed a video taken from Canadian public television of me debating the compelled speech legislation introduced in Federal Bill C-16. She showed my discussion with Nicholas Matt, who held the opposite position. Here is part of the discussion in question.
What do we do?
The 3-member panel included Professors Nathan Rambukkana, her supervisor, Herbert Pimlott, in charge of the master's program, and Adria Joel, manager of gendered violence and sexual assault prevention. Shepherd taped the meeting and released it publicly, producing what I think was the biggest scandal that ever enveloped a Canadian university, and certainly the only one in living memory that became news internationally.
The thing is, can you shield people from those ideas? Am I supposed to comfort them and make sure that they are insulated away from this? Like, is that what the point of this is? Because to me, that is so against what a university is about. So against it. I was not taking sides. I was presenting both arguments.
Okay. So the thing is about this is, if you're presenting something like this, you have to think about the kind of teaching climate that you're creating. And this is actually, these arguments are counter to the Canadian Human Rights Code. Ever since, and I know that you talked about C-16, ever since this passed, it is discriminatory to be targeting someone due to their gender identity or gender expression. So bringing something like that up in class, not critically, and I understand that you're trying to like...
It was critical.
No.
I introduced it critically.
How so? Like
I said, it was in the spirit of debate.
Okay, in the spirit of the debate is slightly different than being like, okay, this is like a problematic idea that we want to unpack.
But that's taking sides.
Yes.
Like, it's taking sides for me to be like, oh, look at this guy. Like, everything that comes out of his mouth is BS, but we're going to watch anyway.
Okay. So I understand the position that you're coming from and your positionality. But the reality is that it has created a toxic climate for some of the students.
How many?
It's great that...
Ooh, like how many?
Okay.
One?
May I speak?
I have no concept of like how many people complained, like what their complaint was. You haven't showed me the complaint.
Yes, I understand that this is upsetting, but there's also confidentiality matters.
The number of people is confidential?
Yes.
Although the university apologized publicly for its treatment of Shepherd, as did Rambukkana, it is not clear at all that the powers that be, so to speak, learned their lesson, and the mistreatment of Shepherd not only continued, but arguably intensified. So, she decided to press her case legally and presented a statement of claim against the 3 and Wilfrid Laurier early in the second week of June. It lists in painful detail the many ways that this situation was mishandled during and after the initial inquisition. I also discussed the situation with Howard Levitt, Shepherd's lawyer. I decided that Wilfrid Laurier had learned very little from its public embarrassment and that Shepherd's claims were valid, justifiable, and necessary, including her statement that her future lack of employability in academia was improbable, to say the least. I've been on hiring committees, and I can tell you that even the slightest whiff of scandal is enough to disqualify a candidate. In consequence, not only did I decide to read and post the entirety of Shepherd's claims, which I will do in a few minutes, I also decided to launch a claim of my own against the same defendants. I thought that 2 lawsuits might make the point better than 1,